pleasant, ones we like having, ones sometimes we want more of.
What up, y'all?
But we invite them to fill people's cups so that they have an abundance of that loving energy so that we can take it to the mudroom. And the mudroom is arguably the most sacred space here at the living room. It's designed to look as if you're walking into the outside. So it's an exterior door, there's an exterior light over your head. And the door somehow magically just opens slower. And when you open it, it's quite dark inside and it's all candle lit. And the furniture is black velvet. And on the adult side, there's a wall that has velvet skulls, which serves purpose. And on the adolescent side, it's a jungle scene. We wanted to go a step further than getting people to sort of be like okay with the parts of themselves they feel are ugly or have done bad things. I didn't want people to just be okay with those parts. I actually wanted them to witness the fact that everything beautiful about them is born within those parts. And the second you stop judging, the second you stop resisting, the second it will become what it was always aimed at becoming. That the mud.
What up, one viewer?
As it can sometimes do, we don't want to get it on us and try to keep it off once it's dirty. If we look closely at it, it holds the seed that without it, there could be no lotus, there could be no flower. So we're not talking about celebrating unskillful acts. It's actually by loving your unskillful hearts that they are healed. It's actually by including them, welcoming them to the table for the value that they brought to your life, that they are quiet. It's not by shunning them or asking to have them removed. It's by learning to love in a way that most of us have never been loved. And we have it to offer ourselves. The shadow side, where light and shadow meet. So the text is saying that God and the devil are two sides of one system, two halves of one whole, one light, one dark. And to try and make things more clear, the God half, well, that's going to be called the sun. This is why he says, Abraxas standeth above the sun, God, and above the devil. So if the sun god and the devil are like the light and dark sides of the yin and yang, well then Abraxas is the whole symbol itself, the entire system. Think of reality like a battery. The sun god is the positive side, the devil is the negative side. But energy only flows because there's tension between the poles. Try building a battery with only a positive terminal. Congrats, you just built a paperweight.
I represent divine light and goodness.
And I represent darkness and chaos. Are we a cosmic battery?
Yes. Let's continue arguing. It keeps the universe running.
Abraxas isn't the positive side or the negative side. Abraxas is the whole damn battery. Then Young, as Facilities, drops this line. And if you're not paying attention, it sounds like mystical nonsense. Had the pleroma a being, Abraxas would be its manifestation. All right, well, let's translate this into plain human language. Pleroma literally means fullness. So it means totality. The text is saying if totality expressed itself as a being, it would be Abraxas.
God is the light pole. The devil is the dark pole. And Abraxas is the entire system.
So the universe runs on cosmic drama?
Exactly.
So Abraxas isn't the pleroma per se. Abraxas is the moment the pleroma wakes up and does something. Now, if you see my other videos, you might be wondering, where does the monad or the one fit into all this? Well, the one is the source of all reality. Everything unfolds from it. Abraxas, in that framework, in the Neo-Genian interpretation, Abraxas is what happens when the one becomes aware of itself through polarity. Abraxas is the source waking up inside division and integrating it. Think of the one as the dreamer generating the dream, and Abraxas is what happens when the dream becomes lucid. The dream doesn't stop, it doesn't vanish, the monsters don't disappear, the light and the darkness are still there. But suddenly, the character inside the dream realizes, I'm both sides of this. Those monsters, they're a part of me. That's why Jung says Abraxas would be the manifestation of Pleroma, but then immediately says it is also Precura, because it is distinct from the Pleroma. Precura means creative thing. So this means that Abraxas isn't just some transcendent being apart from creation. He's in creation as well as creation. He's the material, the earth. Remember, he's associated with the 365 heavens and the 365 days of the year? Well, heaven and earth combined.
I'd rather with the cabinet. For several compensated, it goes.
Where do you think he goes?
If you are a painter, I don't know.
I am interested in becoming someone else.
Get yourself your own mindset. You don't squat in life. You have a lifetime of rejection. Success is.
Oh, you know.
Is that all you got? There goes the first step right there. I want to go back to the other one of that. I got you with your queen. Is that all you got? Okay, I've got questions. You made a universe with billions of stars, but were you in for with one rule?
That seems suspicious. This is not an escape the world spirituality. This is wake up inside the world spirituality. Now remember, in the 7 Sermons to the Dead, Basilides, young in disguise, is telling all this to the dead. We're looking for knowledge, as you do when you're dead.
Tell us of gods and devils! A cursing one! Yes! Give us the simple version! You mean the version where you don't have to think? Duh!
Well, the text finally tells you exactly who they are. The dead, now raised in great tumults, for they were Christians. Yeah, you heard that right. The dead are Christians. The people who thought they already had the truth, and now they're dead.
So we died thinking we had the ultimate truth.
And now there's apparently a god above our god.
Damn it, Bob, I knew we should have read the damn books.
Not physically, spiritually, which is absolutely savage. Because the text is basically saying Christianity is one big graveyard where truth goes to die.
This is it? The final boss? What's going on? Wait, what's that?
Yes, Christianity was the final boss after all.
First, I want you to realize this is way more than a channel. We are a revolution of consciousness, literally making what they tried to bury go viral and reach millions. So hit like and subscribe. Share this video to spread it like fire. We are making higher consciousness go viral. If you want to help out even more, become a member for free downloads on inner transformation, alchemy, Kabbalah, and get access to members-only videos like this one called The Secret Name of Jesus That Changes Everything. Also, check out my books. Links are in the description of this video. So the text continues to describe spiritually dead Christians like this, like mists arising from the marsh. The dead came near and cried, "Speak further unto us concerning the supreme God."
Good and evil come from the same source. What will be our God? Give us the ability again.
You started worshiping the villain. Yeah, they don't want sermons or shitty worship music, and they sure as hell don't want. Just have faith and stop asking questions. They're asking for the supreme God, not their God, not the God they were taught, the one above the whole damn mess. The dead are crowding closer now. They're restless, they're agitated, and they're wondering why they don't know about the supreme God. Okay, well, Jung, writing as Basilides, of course, explains to them exactly why. Hard to know is the deity of Abraxas. Its power is the greatest because man perceiveth it not. So Abraxas doesn't hide in the shadows, it hides in plain sight as the unity of opposites. But guess what? Humans are terrible at seeing that because humans, all they do is see opposites.
Today we're connecting to love and light. Says good and evil come from the same source. Well, that complicates my brain.
They categorize things as this or that, light or dark, good or evil, God or devil, left or right, my team or your team. Pick one, root for it, fight for it. That's why humans can't find Abraxas, because Abraxas is everything. So the text explains what Abraxas actually does. From the sun, God, he draweth the summum bonum, highest good. From the devil, the infimum malum, lowest evil. See, Abraxas doesn't pick a side. It extracts both. It's the whole spectrum. That's why the text says Abraxas is the mother of good and evil. Mother as in the generator. Good and evil aren't enemies in some cosmic boxing match. They're siblings. And Abraxas is the womb that gives birth to them both. That alone is enough to ruin most people's day. You might be thinking, what the f does that mean? We're supposed to be evil? No. Of course, we'll get to that. But first, the text continues. Abraxas is the sun, God, and at the same time, the eternally sucking gorge of the void and the belittling and dismembering devil. Abraxas is both creation and destruction. The text clarifies further why people can't see Abraxas. The power of Abraxas is twofold, but ye see it not, because for your eyes, the warring opposites of this power are extinguished. I mean, we already saw that. Humans normally perceive reality by splitting it. This good, this bad, this is sacred, this is profane, that God, that devil. But if you do that, you miss the power of Abraxas. If you label something as purely evil, you blind yourself to its creative force. If you label something as purely good, well, you blind yourself to its destructive shadow. For example, if you label anger as purely evil, you miss the power of anger to feel the fight for justice. For example, if you label love as purely good, you can end up getting walked all over as people take advantage of you. This is where Young stops being subtle and just kicks the damn door in. What the God Son speaketh is life, what the devil speaketh is death. All right, there you have it right there. Two basic forces at work, life and death.
Abraxas creates both life and death, and truth and lies. I prefer simpler religions.
Yes. Most people do.
Life here means building and sustaining a form, while death means dissolving or ending a form. But death is needed because nothing new can exist if nothing ends.
One rises, another falls. Stone by stone, breath by breath. Without supervision.
Structures, beliefs, identity, habits, they don't just peacefully step aside, they have to be broken down when they stop serving life. See, death actually makes room for life. Life and death need each other, which is why the text immediately says, but Abraxas speaketh that hallowed and accursed word, which is life and death at the same time. Abraxas is not here to comfort you. Abraxas isn't here to whisper positive affirmations. Abraxas is here to create the conditions for you to grow. If you want transformation, something in you has to die. The text goes on to make it crystal clear. Abraxas is truth and lying, good and evil, light and darkness in the same word and in the same act. Wherefore is Abraxas terrible? See, typically we separate things so that we can feel safe and comfortable. Abraxas destroys all that. Abraxas shows that reality generates both sides together. Before we label one as acceptable and the other as forbidden, Abraxas is called terrible because it removes the comfort that we feel for ourselves as humans. You're forced to see what reality is for what it really is. Think about this. Fire cooks.
What up, whoever's watching?
That same fire burns down homes. Think about truth and lying. We tend to label one as good and the other as evil, right? But that's totally oversimplifying things. If you tell the truth about something, that truth can set you free, which seems good. But if that same truth deeply hurts someone or destroys a relationship, in that sense, it also seems bad. Think about revolution. A system is overthrown. Freedom increases for many. But chaos, suffering, death, destruction all took place to get there.
Anger is evil. Then why does anger start revolutions? And why does love start half the wars? Shit, you're right. Maybe this is more complicated than I thought.
Reality is an illusion. You're right, Stone Cold ET. It's a hologram.
Remember your dreams, your future, your education? Has private student loan debt destroyed those dreams? It doesn't have to. Why refinances, distress, or defaulted private student loans that others won't touch? They can save you thousands of dollars, get you a custom payment that you
Yeah.
don't care what your credit score is. Don't let private student loan debt
It might be a
ruin
hologram,
your
yeah.
today.
Abraxas forces you to see what we normally try to avoid. Abraxas is called terrible because it forces you to face reality and yourself as it really is. Not as a simplified, cute little moral story you can tell yourself so you can sleep at night. And then, as you might expect, in the story, the dead absolutely lose their minds. Because what Basilides just said to them is not comforting. It doesn't give them a sign, it doesn't give them a villain, it doesn't give them a cosmic scoreboard where they can chant, we're number one. So what happens? Now the dead howled and raged, for they were unperfected. Yeah, they're melting down worse than Elon Musk tweeting caffeine at 3 a.m. on a ketamine binge. Why? Because they're unperfected. Not evil or sinful, but unfinished. In Gnosticism, those that achieve gnosis, meaning true knowledge, they're called the perfect ones. Perfect as in complete. The spiritually dead, they wanted a cosmic referee to point and say, that's the bad guy, go boo him.
So good and evil come from the same source.
This is way more complicated than church.
Yeah, but at least it's honest. Plus, this guy doesn't ask us for money.
But Basilides just told them that that guy and the good guy come from the same place. And of course they're this. And it gets even more dramatic. The dead filled the place, murmuring and said, tell us of gods and devils, accursed one. Yeah, they don't want to talk about Abraxas anymore. They want to go back to what's safe. Give us the simple version again. Give us the binary. Give us the teams, the jerseys.
I am the ultimate ruler of reality. You're just a apogee.
And they call him a person because when someone destabilizes your way of thinking, your first instinct isn't to be curious about it, it's to attack. See, most people identify so much with their beliefs that it becomes who they are. And so they see anything that goes against what they believe to be a direct threat to their selves, so they go into attack mode. But Basilides responds calmly and detonates the bomb even further. The God's Son is the highest good, the devil is the opposite. Thus have ye two gods.
Teacher, who rules the universe?
Not the God you think, something above him.
You can't say it. I just did.
Two gods. Not one God and one enemy. Two gods, light and dark, creation and destruction, life and death, equal poles. And Basilides goes on to explain exactly that. God and devil are distinguished by the qualities fullness and emptiness, generation and destruction. Okay, so that's pretty simple. God means fullness, expansion, and life. The devil represents emptiness, contraction, dissolution. So here the devil isn't just a fallen angel messing shit up. He's necessary to the structure of reality. One builds, one breaks. And reality needs both. You can't have a sunrise without a sunset. You can't have growth without decay. You can't have life without death. So Basilides is basically saying, stop acting shocked that destruction exists. It's not a glitch. It's half the engine that makes everything work. Abraxas says both sides are necessary. That's why the dead are so pissed off, because they wanted salvation. And Basilides gave them integration. And integration is way damn harder. Then comes one of my favorite lines in the whole book. Each star is a god, and each space that the star filleth is a devil. This is a perfect example of what Basilides is trying to get across. God is a star outpouring light, while the devil is dark, empty space. Think about it. A star can't exist without space. If there were no emptiness, no vacuum, no darkness, there would be nowhere for the star to burn. The space isn't the enemy of the star. It's the condition that makes the star possible. That's what Basilides means by devil here. Not red guy with horns. He means the principle of negation. He goes on, the operation of the whole is Abraxas. When you zoom out and see both together, that dynamic, star and space, fullness and emptiness, that's Abraxas. The whole cosmos, the light of the star and the darkness of the space. And Basilides is basically telling the dead, you want the stars without the space. You want the fullness without the emptiness. You want creation without destruction. That's not how existence works. Sorry, that's not how physics works. That's not how psychology works. That's not even how relationships work. Abraxas is the totality of that movement. One of my favorite quotes is from the philosopher Hegel. He says, just as little is seen in pure light as in pure darkness. In other words, absolute light blinds you just like absolute darkness does. If everything is just blinding white light, you can't see. Likewise, if everything is pitch black, you also can't see. Either way, you're walking into furniture.
Pure light. Turns out that's just as useless as darkness.
So all this only light spirituality is just cosmic high beams in your face. To actually see, you need contrast, light and dark. You need some shadow. If life were 24/7 perfect, blissful, no challenges, no pain, would you even have a meaningful experience? Without sorrow, how could you know joy? Without ignorance, would learning even mean anything? We say we want all good and no bad, but if you really had that, if you actually had it, it would be like staring at a blank white screen forever. By day 3, you'd be screaming, can please something go wrong, just so something happens.
Is anyone there?
Marty's barbecue pulled pork I'm so sorry. It was an accident.
An accident.
We need to move fast.
I'm aware of the stakes. I am the stakes.
They're ready for what? Hold on. Explode. Hegel would have absolutely loved Jung's take on praxis. Hegel's philosophy is very complex, but part of it was that existence is powered through a clash of opposites, and he called this process the dialectic, where a thesis, an idea, meets its antithesis, its opposite, and through their tension and clash, a synthesis arises, which is at a higher level, it incorporates both elements together. And if that sounds familiar, that's basically a rational take on what Jung expressed mythically with the praxis. The thesis is God versus the devil, the antithesis, and a praxis is the synthesis, the higher aspect that contains both within it. And after all this, stars and space, life and death, batteries and cosmic roosters, the dead finally realize something embarrassing. They've been asking about the universe. They forgot to ask about themselves. So, we asked about the universe. Yes. Did anyone ask about us? Oh yeah, what the hell are we? And so they say, there is yet one matter we forgot to mention. Teach us about man. Up until now, this has been theology, but not so yet personal. Because Basilides answers, man is a gateway through which from the outer world of gods, demons, and souls ye pass to the inner world, out of the greater into the smaller world. Humanity is the gateway. That line is powerful. Think about it. Everything we've been talking about, God, devil, light, dark, star, void, doesn't just exist out there. It exists inside you. The outer world of forces, instincts, archetypes, drives, symbols is reflected in the inner world of the human psyche. And then the text drops the line that should honestly make you sit up straight. In this world is man, Praxis, the creator and destroyer of his own world. Humanity is not ruled by Praxis, not judged by it or anything like that. Man is Praxis, in this world, creator and destroyer of his own world. We can see this manifest literally and physically on Earth as civilizations rise and fall. But what Jung really was talking about was that you're the creator and destroyer of your own inner world. But these two worlds, inner and outer, they intersect. Look at society. People who disown their own shadows contribute to atrocities. It's those that are convinced of their absolute righteousness that usually end up committing the worst crimes for the greater good. Whole nations have projected evil onto some other and gone to war, thinking evil is out there and they must purge it. The evil we hate outside is also inside. And when we realize that, we become much less eager to cast stones. We become more inclined to work on ourselves. The most terrifying part of Jung's Abraxas isn't that there's the God above God, it's that psychologically you are Abraxas. As the operator of the polarity inside your own life, you generate your heavens, you generate your hells. The identity you cling to, you made that. The patterns you repeat, you keep them going. And when they collapse, because you collapse them, you are both star and space, both fullness and emptiness, both creation and destruction. And the moment you realize that, you stop waiting for salvation and you start integrating. It's not about picking God over the devil, not picking light over dark. It's about becoming conscious that you're both of them. And you can see why Jung kept this book from the public. Ideas that blurred the line between God and devil would have looked either insane or heretical. Publishing a mystical Gnostic sermon to the dead might have destroyed his career. Okay, let's get something straight before someone flips this out of context and calls me the Antichrist. When Jung talks about good and evil, and when we talk about Abraxas generating both, that does not mean, hey, you know what, go be evil, start robbing banks and punch your grandma in the face. Right. The words good and evil, they're loaded. So just drop those. Think instead in terms of light and dark. Light equals creation, dark equals destruction. destruction. Destruction is not the same thing as cruelty. Destruction is what makes transformation possible. Let me give you an example. You leave a toxic relationship, that feels destructive. You're breaking something, there's grief, there's pain, there's chaos. But what are you actually doing? You're clearing space, star and void. Without that destruction, there's no growth. Or take something smaller. You set a boundary. You say, no, you might disappoint someone. That feels dark, but what are you destroying? An unhealthy dynamic. Without that dark action, you remain trapped. Or let's get even more uncomfortable. Your own jealousy. Instead of pretending you're morally superior and above it, you admit, I'm secure. That's dark. It hurts. It destabilizes your ego. But what are you destroying? Illusion. And what gets created afterward? Clarity. That's integration. When you refuse the darkness, it does not disappear. It just runs your life from the basement. That's what you meant. Not go out